So I'm Chad. I'm 36 years old and born and raised in Georgia. I grew up in bad neighborhoods and bad schools, and it got me in a lot of trouble at a young age. I was raised by my mom. She was a single parent. My father died committed suicide when I was about 3. So I had a lot of free time because she worked like 2 jobs to provide for me. I got in a lot of trouble, got in a lot of fights at school, and started, smoking and drinking at an early age, 11, 12 years old. It was kind of like a product of my environment. It's just the way I grew up. That's just the way everyone else did. So it's just what I knew. Years progressed and it got worse and it got worse. And then I moved to Newnan, Georgia, which was a much nicer place, much nicer schools, better people, whatever. Being that I was already on drugs and alcohol at such a young age, and a lot of these kids weren't when I started high school there. They didn't really know what I knew, so I kind of brought some of that negative behavior with me to people that didn't know about it, and they had the money and I had the connections, or whatever you want to call it. So it was better, but it was also worse. I graduated high school in Newnan. I bought a home, I had a family, I had kids, but I was an addict all these years. I was what I like to say, a highly functioning addict. I went to work, I had a business, I took care of my kids. If I'm honest, I wasn't totally there for them because I was using, and I was telling myself that it was okay because I was supporting a family, because I went to work, because I had money, and because I owned a home. I told myself it was all right. So things really got bad in 2018. I tried to just cold turkey come off of Xanaxes and heroin by myself at my mother's house. I was there, my mother was there. She was actually in the bed sick with an upset stomach or something, and I'd never withdrawed off or just quit taking Xanaxes like that. I'd struggled with opiates for years. Went to methadone clinics and Suboxone doctors and all these things, and tried to just quit, and it never lasted for more than a week or 2. I decided this time I was going to do it and stick with it, and I went to my mom's house and was just sweating it out, toughing it out, white knuckling it, whatever they call it. And I was feeling a little crazy without the benzos. My brain just felt foggy. So I'm laying in the bed at my mom's house. I'm like three and I think it was like the 4th day, like the 4th morning into these detox and withdrawal, and I get a text from Kroger saying I had a refill to pick up for my prescription, and I had no intentions of going to get them. Didn't want to, but at this point they sent that text, and I was feeling kind of crazy, right? So I'm like, maybe I should just go get my medication and take it like I'm prescribed and not abuse it. And I wasn't gonna get any other like outside drugs, but I felt like I needed the medication. So I called Kim, my ex-fiance, the mother of my kids, and she was at the pool with my kids. So so I just said, never mind. Called my mother. She said she's in the bed sick. Asked what I need. I told her nothing. I'm like, well, and my truck's in the driveway. I decided I'm gonna drive to Kroger and go get my medicine, right? So I hop in the truck, and it's like 15 minutes from where I was staying, and I made it like halfway, and made it like 7 miles, and I had a seizure while I was driving, coming off the Xanaxes. Went off the road, hit about 3/4 of a mile off the road, hit a pine tree, doing about 75 miles an hour, and motor came through the cab. It crushed both my legs. It snapped my arm. It knocked half my teeth out. Crushed the truck. But I shouldn't have lived through it. I'm blessed to be here. I really am. Because when the motor came through and crushed my leg, my left leg was cut off, amputated immediately by the metal. But it also pinched it so that I didn't bleed out. My right leg was mangled, and by the grace of God, I don't remember any of this, which is kind of also a blessing because it's traumatic. The paramedics, firefighters cut me out of the truck and flew me. Put me with the flight medics to Atlanta Medical Center. They didn't list me by my name when they took me in the helicopter. So I was there for about a week under the name Saline Solution. Nobody knew where I was. Nobody knew how to find me. After a week of me just being missing, like my mom and my ex fiance knew I was there detoxing. They knew I was probably not in a good place, but they didn't know how to find me. They just knew I just disappeared, and I was just going to the pharmacy, and I ended up being in the hospital in a coma and on life support for about 2 months. But they had me on life support, and my mother and my ex finally went to the sheriff's department to file a missing person report after like a week, and the officer there at the front desk that day was like, "Oh, I know Chad. He was in a horrible car accident. He probably didn't make it." They freak out, they panic, and they and they go back to calling around, whatever. He tells them, you know, where the helicopter flew me. They take me to, or they find me at Atlanta Medical Center, you know, pretty much lifeless in a bed with 8 chest tubes and, you know, basically no legs in my arm, and my head was all busted up with staples in it, and they had to find me like that, which is, you know, I feel like probably more traumatic for them than it was for me, but it all came from my addiction and not knowing all this help is out here that I know now, not knowing that I could have got insurance and got into a rehab, or could have called people and got help. I get out, I go home and to my mom's house, because it's one level, and she's, you know, they're taking turns like taking care of me, and the kids are there with me, and I go to physical therapy and get a prosthetic and start learning how to use it. I don't know, I think it was about 2 months into having a prosthetic and being at physical therapy, and my kids, you know, I got 2 young boys, they're pumping weights. I'm like, go dad, you know, it was awesome. About 2 months into it, when I'm really trying to learn, they tell me my insurance is canceled, and it was Medicaid that the hospital had set up so that they could get paid. I had like a $1.9 million hospital bill for the 3 months I was there. They sent me back home, you know, no more doctors, no more therapy, no more nothing. I can't go to the doctors, or I can't get my prescription, so I don't know how long it was, maybe a year after the accident, maybe a year and a half, I went back to drugs, because that's just what I knew how to get easily. It's just what I knew. It's what I've been doing for, you know, 20 years at this point, you know, 18 years. So I gave up. I became really depressed. Been in and out of jail a lot for drug-related charges my whole life. Drug-related charges, in and out, in and out, in and out. I got arrested again. After this car accident, I get arrested again for possession and with intent to distribute of 3 narcotics, and that was tough. I was in there about 3 months. And this was just last summer. I was in there for about 3 months. So the summer of 22, my lawyer finally comes to me and he's like, Chad, the only way that the court's gonna have any sympathy for you, the only way I have any sympathy is if you get help, man. You need help. You need rehab. I'm like, man, I can't afford rehab. I can't. I've tried. It's expensive. It's outrageous. This was at my court date. That morning, he's like, they're willing to let you out today on the terms that you complete a rehab. Any rehab that's inpatient, you have 120 days to find one. So I'm like, of course, I'll do it. Knowing in my heart that I can't, you know, I can't afford it. I'm not working. I'm disabled at this point. So I tell him, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I tried. I got out. I called. I went to a state-funded detox down in Noonan, but it's a short-term place. I was there like 7 or 8 days, and they're like, we can't find you a rehab because of your disability, all these things, you know. So I'm back at home, and I'm there by myself, and I relapsed immediately. I was clean and sober, you know, just 7 or 8 days while I was at this detox. But I get home, and I know the police are going to be looking for me, because I know they're going to tell my probation, and they're going to know that I left. So once again, I gave up, man. I thought there was no hope. I thought it was over with. My probation officer shows up the very next day after I left this detox, and I tell him the story of you know, I'm trying to get in rehab. I'm trying, man, and it's the holidays, and it's hard, and there's people that are abusing these programs for whatever reason, and they're just full. There's nothing I can do. And he's like, man, we're gonna work with you one more time. So here I am with another chance to do right. And he's like, we'll give you till, you know, after Christmas, after the holidays. And I call my mom, like, Mom, I have to find a rehab. I have to find a place to go. I have to do this thing, or I'm gonna go to prison for like 7 years. Had my mom help me, and we were calling all these rehabs trying to see what kind of place I can go to without insurance, without any money. They're just unrealistic. There's places that, you know, that do it for free, but they're always so booked, and there's such a long waiting list. One of the places that my mom called actually put her in touch with Mary here at The Rock, here with Hope Dealers. Sorry, I get emotional. And she was a blessing. She talked to me every day. She helped me find a rehab that would take me. She helped me get insurance. She helped me see that there was a way out. So she gets me into rehab, and I complete it. And they sent me home on December 31st, on New Year's Eve, which is not a good plan for anybody to leave rehab. And I made it. I didn't make it very long. I made it like 9 days, and I was drinking because I thought I wasn't an alcoholic. I thought I was an addict. Here I am, 9 days out of rehab, 9 days, which is sad. I realized at that point, maybe, or definitely, I did all these things for the wrong reason. I was doing it for court, and I was doing it to show everybody that I could and to please other people, and maybe even hoping that me and my ex would get back together if she sees that I'm really doing right. And I didn't do it for myself. I call Mary. I'm like, Mary, I screwed it up. I need your help again. And they were there. She's like, sure, anything. What can I do to help? to her and Nadine, and everybody gets involved, and they find me another program, and I go. So I checked into Recovery Village, where I met some really good people, where I met my brother Mike, some really good therapists, just people that actually care. I completed the rehab. This time I stayed 58 days. I left there and I went to a sober living house over in Ackworth, where they had another outpatient 3-month program. A little over 5 months clean now, which is great. I have clarity. I can think. I can, complete sentences. And I just found out, like this week, that Hope Dealers is willing to help pay, or is gonna pay the copay to help me get a new prosthetic so I can get back on my feet. It's been a blessing, man, knowing these people and being a part of this. It's been a huge blessing. Where I was at and where I am now is just a huge difference, and I couldn't have done it without these people, without The Rock, without Hope Dealers, without Mike.